out there in the virtual world. Thank you for joining us at Southern Fried Gaming Expo's Virtual Con for 2020. I'm Imoto Arcade. I work with Marco Pinball and produce Marco TV content, and we're so sad that we are not in Atlanta celebrating pinball, arcade, gaming of all sorts together on this weekend. But such is life, and here we are. And so we wanted to contribute to this virtual con. So I put together all of the Marco TV interviews we shot last year. Every year I look forward to documenting this festival in my hometown backyard. And last year with Marco TV, we conducted several interviews with the locals and with people that came from all around the world to celebrate gaming with us. So please enjoy the next hour and a half of interviews that we captured with Marco TV for Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019.
We're in front of the Marco specialty booth at Southern Fried Gaming Expo with DeBusschere. He's one of the Southern Fried Troopers, as you can see here. We have so many Black Knight premiums here. We even have a Black Knight statue. Dan, how excited are you about this event that you helped create?
I think this is amazing. I mean, they really expanded it this year, and this great new space we have for the arcade. It seemed like in previous years we were improvising to make an arcade work, and this really is like an arcade. It's a big space, plenty of room to walk, lots of power, lots of games. Still want more games, obviously more the better, but I think we really knocked it out of the park this year.
Yeah, so they actually opened up a whole Cobb Galleria Hall D just for the arcade section, and we're gonna walk around and show you guys some of that, and then we're gonna show you the rest of the games.
One of the things that we've done over the previous years, we've always done this, is we do a 80s arcade. We try to focus a lot of the 80s games in one little space. So this is our pseudo 80s arcade here. We try to get a mix of them. The right side of the aisle is the 80s pinball machine. Most of these games would have been games that would have been out there for me to play in my childhood. At the end of this row, we have some custom games that people build. There's three different pinball machines, custom, like Spaceballs. I love Spaceballs. Zelda's been here a couple years. Here we have one of the local arcades. They've been around for a long time. It's called Stars and Strikes. They've always been a big supporter of the show, and they bring some very expensive, very large games. In fact, the Fast and the Furious game, they're actually going to do some events around the release of the new movie, a little tournament on those games. I don't know the specifics of it,
I would so win.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to get some practice though.
Nah.
Well, Project Pinball is actually a charity that's focused around putting pinball machines in hospitals and other children's organizations that, you know, the kids are dealing with some kind of an illness, and it's just a way to get their minds off the illness, them and their families and so forth.
And they actually have a whole live, a silent auction here at Southern Fried for Project Pinball.
Right.
So now we're in, this is the arcade aisle, right?
Well, there's several aisles. This is our, this is the normal, newer, older. This is kind of the mix aisle. The other side of it is the pinball machines. The way it makes sense to do it is
all the vids.
Because of the way the power works are different on vids versus pins, we have to mix them up in such a way that it balances out. So we're usually, in this case, we're doing pins on one side, vids on the other.
And so that's your job to kind of organize the layout and how power works, right?
Well, they give you a draft of what they really want to do, and my role is to kind of look at that draft and figure out, okay, do we have bottlenecks here? Are there things that don't make sense? How much power do we need in each of these spaces? Because admittedly, the power bill is the biggest cost in this space, and it was in the previous space. It's a huge cost. Each drop is a lot of money. So we want to make sure that we're not overbuying, but we don't want to be short either. We got vendors over here. We got some companies that sell pinball machines down at the end, flipping outs out here. Classic game rooms are down here. So if you want a new pinball machine, if you're not buying from Marco, that might be another choice for you. And they got the Jarzewiak games and the American pinball stuff. Suncoast Pinball's on the other side of the wall over here. So there's a lot of really new companies out here doing some really amazing things.
So now we are in.
I think this is called the Garden Court.
Oh, the garden court.
All right, so this was the beginning of the space that we had, and you know, for the rest of this tour, we're going to see the space that we had last year. So that whole room that we just saw is net new space. So it's a dramatic increase in size for this event. So in this area, we have vendors that are focused around just general pop culture, board gaming, and things like that. And in the middle, we have actually a board gaming area. There's a whole library where you can check out board games.
Oh, wow.
And then you can get together with other people and play games together.
Oh, let's quickly do like a really quick fast pan of this thing. Dan makes these and programs them. That's what this guy does. Look at these awesome signs. Just do a nice slow tilt up.
At some point in the next couple hours or first thing tomorrow morning, I'll set up my displays. And I've got a small number of unique displays. In fact, there's a custom one that I built for Project Pinball that's in the auction. And hopefully, I don't know where their auction space is. I think we'll probably run past it. It's over there. And maybe you can take a look at it because it's really cool. It's etched, backlit, and it just looks amazing.
Wow,
So.
I might have to bid for that. It's like a giant DMB.
It's no, well, not that. I'm not selling those, but anyway.
Oh, well. So bring your good walking shoes here, because there's lots of walking, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, look. Oh, no. Because look at that. Oh my.
First year we did wrestling, people said, why is there wrestling at a gaming show? And we said, why not?
Oh. You didn't want to see that one. Pinball tournament, y'all.
Now, this room is the pinball tournaments room.
It's just as packed.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you? Hey, there's the tournament
That was
director
Mark
running through.
Jarzewiak. He's the tournament director. This is his first time running the tournament at Southern Fried.
You gonna come say hello?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, how are you doing? Oh, the tournament is going bonkers. We had 48 players that we kind of maxed out on our strikes tournament because we only have so many. We have a large number of games donated, but we only had enough for so much. And then someone really wanted to make sure they played tonight, so they offered 3 more games. So we have 60 players tonight. So that's 12 more donations for Project Pinball. We have a great prize pool for tonight. We've got about 30 people playing pin golf right now, and as soon as these strikes players start coming out of the knockout tournament, I'm sure they're going to get on the pin golf course. We've got 9 holes of pin golf here, and right now we have, I think, 16 machines in the strikes tournament, and it is just going great. We have another strikes tournament tomorrow morning at 10.
We got quite the crowd here, a lot of people in.
Yeah, and the pin golf tournament final will be tomorrow at 7. I anticipate there will be 100 or more people participate.
Good luck with that. You're killing it, man.
Congratulations, great job.
Very cool. And Sunday, Brandi Foster will be running the women's pinball tournament.
Oh,
too.
awesome.
Okay, so we're just going to do a quick, fast list of all the things we have here at Southern Fried Gaming Expo. Okay, we have arcades, vids, pinball, tabletop games, console games, indie developed games, VR games, live wrestling, live Starship Battleship Simulator Artemis, a film festival, miniatures painting, miniatures terrain, landscaping, panels with guests like from Stern, Mike Vinocourt, and Waison Cheng. The Weird Science guy is here.
Yep, in fact, it reminds me there's 80s prom tomorrow night.
80s prom!
Right, they're gonna play 80s music. It's gonna be kind of a dance thing.
Oh my gosh, what
And
am I
then-
missing? Oh, live rock band karaoke.
Rock band karaoke, exactly. And then the
other bands
the
playing?
hot pepper contest.
Oh my gosh, the
They
hot
want me to
Lanta
participate. I
hot-
don't know if I'm gonna. I can eat hot stuff, but I still have to make the rest of the show. So
And then we have vendors, artists.
lots of vendors and artists. Yeah.
Did we get it all?
I don't think we did, but
I don't think we did.
we'll be here all night otherwise. Yeah.
Come to Atlanta! Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2020 has y'all's name on it, and we want to party with you. Today we are at Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019 with none other than Brandi Foster. She is the Atlanta Bells and Chimes organizer. Thank you for that, by the way, because we wouldn't have had Bells and Chimes in Atlanta without you.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I work at my parents' basement in Avondale Estates, and we got a few pinball machines, and I started playing. I went to a tournament, and I was only female there, and I had a guy ask me who was my boyfriend, and I was like, excuse me, you're about to play me in this tournament? And I said right then and there that there needs to be more women in pinball.
Which dude are you here with?
Yeah, that's exactly what. No, I'm here with me. Thank you. So I looked online and found out Bells and Chimes was a umbrella society all over the world. So now there's some chapters in Australia, I believe. And there wasn't one for Atlanta, so perfect opportunity.
Awesome, and thank you for that, because you guys started a Facebook page too, and I see so many women coming and joining, and you know,
I think we have 77 members now.
that's awesome. Yeah, when I was doing the head-to-head league, which is like the Atlanta Collectors League, there's not too many girls, so it's awesome to see that you are the forefront of Atlanta getting that.
Right, exactly. There has to be some incentive to bring all the ladies out to play some pinball. One of them...
Pinball should be enough. Oh, yes, please.
When you hit a really good ball, you get stickered. So I'm going to sticker you right now, Emoto.
It's the only sticker I'll ever get.
Yes. Well, you know, you do such a good job in all of your endeavors, and you need to be rewarded. So you get a little doggo sticker right there.
Yay!
It's as simple as that. That's how we play Bells and Chimes. You have snacks and drinks and stickers, and we have a great time.
And how many ladies are in your group now?
There's 77 in the group that show up, about 12 to 15. I'd like more, but it's hard. We meet on twice a month on Wednesdays. Recently, we've been doing a pool day up here in Marietta, and then going to Portal Pinball with Bryan. So yeah, and that's been really great too.
Yeah, I was out of town when that happened, but I would have totally come, because Portal Pinball is my favorite arcade here, and it's 5 minutes from my house. But my parents' basement is awesome. So is it your first time experiencing pinball? Once Kevin Grillo, the operator, brought those in, he brings like LEs and like super modded pinball machines there. Is that when you first fell in love with pinball?
No, I fell in love with pinball, I would say maybe 15 years ago in...
OG.
Yeah. I started playing The Lord of the Rings when it came out, and that was my favorite one. And I couldn't find it anywhere. I'd find, like, you know, kind of busted games all over the city in laundromats and pizza joints. And I said, why can't we have nice games anywhere? And Kevin walked into my parents' basement one day when I was sorting comics. And he was like, hey, I want to do this pinball thing. And I had a freak out over it to my boss, Tim. And I said, you must do this. This town needs pinball really badly. So he did it. The machine did very well the first week. We got The Walking Dead the first week. And by the end of the second week, I believe we have Batman 66 and Star Wars. So.
Yes, and so my parents' basement is not my parents' basement or her parents' basement. It's a bar in Atlanta. You can check it out here. So as you can see, Brandi brought a lot of swag for show and tell. What is this?
This is our tournament prizes for the women's tournament here at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo, which will be tomorrow morning, which is Sunday, 10 a.m. We have the best tournament here, obviously, because we have door prizes. The proceeds of these prizes go to the awesome Project Pinballs. We want to get one of those machines. And
is that a sandwich?
No, this is a lovely French baker made me a lemon pound cake. That's one of the prizes. And I brought you a slice. Absolutely, of course.
This is the best interview ever. Sorry, everyone else. She brought me pound cake.
Made by an amazing a French pastry chef. She's beautiful. And so that will be a door prize. So hopefully Emoto you might play in the tournament. You have a chance to win this beautiful thing. I also have peaches from amazing Pearson Farm in Fort Valley, Georgia. These are actually for you too. I also, during the day, I am a produce broker as well, and so I find the best produce in the state and bring it to the restaurants here in Atlanta. So you also will get peaches, very Georgia-centric prizes for this tournament, and on top of it, Marco gave us a $250 prize pool. So that's even more of an incentive to play in the women's tournament here at Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
All right, Brandi, for anyone watching that's in the Atlanta area, how do they join Bells and Chimes Atlanta?
You can go on our Facebook page, which is Southern Bells and Chimes ATL, or you can join our Instagram, which is Bells and Chimes ATL. And that's the best way.
Well, thank you so much, and I hope the tournament's great.
I hope so too. Please come out, show your support, have some peaches. We have a good time.
We're in Atlanta at Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019, and with me is Mr. Waison Cheng. He is a game designer, he is a software engineer, all for Stern Pinball.
Yes. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and how do you like this show so far?
This show is amazing. It's so well run. Everyone's been really friendly, and everyone's having a good time.
And what do you do for Stern exactly? I mean, I know I listed those titles, but what has your history with Stern been so far?
So I've been with Stern coming up on 9 years now. I've made many games with Stern. My role is a little bit all over the place. It starts with design to programming. I write scripts. I help storyboard our artwork. I'm a representative of CERN, so I come to shows and I meet the people who buy our games, who play our games, and are interested in our culture.
Nice. So I have to tell you guys, when we were setting up on Thursday night, Waison was going game by game on all 40 of our Stern games, pulling the glass off, checking to make sure all the mechs and toys and everything worked and flipped perfectly. And we were trying to drag him away, and they had to kick him out. Security came and had to kick him out and said, you have to leave, because he was so obsessed with getting these games perfectly. So thank you for that. And why is that important to you?
I want the customers to have the best experience at one of these shows. These are, beautiful games, and there's so many talented people who work on it and try to make it, as perfect as can be. And the shipping process is a little rough on such a complex mechanical device, and things fall off, things get shaken up. But
Shipping.
Yeah, but those things happen, and I just want to make sure that there wasn't something that happened along the way that was unfortunate. Most of the time that doesn't happen, but you have to double check, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone can enjoy our games the way they're meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah, we really appreciate that passion, and I saw it in your eyes. We were trying to drag him away. Just eat dinner. Just eat dinner for 30 minutes, and he wouldn't leave. He refused to.
I know. You actually called in, the most impressive weapon. You got the puppy dog eyes, please come. I couldn't turn that away. That was hard. That was hard on me.
But we got it all done. We have an awesome booth thanks to Stern and Marco and Classic Gameroom Expos. What have you done in the past for Stern? So X-Men, right, was a game you worked on at WWE?
Yes. So I started at Stern in July of 2011, and I came in at the end of Tron, beginning of Transformers. The games that I was lead for was X-Men and WWE. X-Men is my favorite project of all time, obviously.
Why?
Being as biased as possible. Well, aside from my love of X-Men in general, the IP, it's, I collected the comics, I'm big into the geek culture, so it was really a passion project for me. WWE, I watched a lot of wrestling, back when I was a child in the 80s, and then in the late 90s when I was in college, so that was an extremely fun project. got to talk to Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler, and they were so much fun to work with. They're just so talented. They just nailed every one of their lines for the game in one shot. And Vince McMahon lent his voice to the game, which he never does. He doesn't do that for the video games. He doesn't do that for any out appearance other than for WWE Pinball, which was really exciting.
How did you guys convince him to do that, Vince McMahon?
He volunteered. He was so excited to have a WWE pinball machine, he volunteered his voice. They were like, you cannot give this to anyone else, because he never lends his voice to anything. It was really exciting.
So how does that work behind the scenes with Stern? Like, do you get to pick which themes you work on or which licenses you want to go after, and you kind of pitch it to an executive committee? Or does it just serendipitously happen that you worked on these games?
Without going into too much detail, there's a pool of games that we either have licensed or would like to license, and those are available to our designers to pick and choose from. Or occasionally a designer will go out of their way to say, I want this particular license, and we'll see if we can get it or not.
And so on the software engineering side, tell me a little bit about that.
The way I like to describe it is we do everything that makes the game fun. So we turn on the lights, make it blink and flash when they're supposed to. We do your scoring. We make the toys work when they're supposed to work. We do all the speech and sound so it's entertaining to you so you know what's going on. All the rules, all the things you have to accomplish, all your end goals, that is done by the software team. And it's a lot of design that's involved with it. It starts at the very beginning when the playfield's designed to try to hammer out home what rules you want to do and how you want to what story do you want to tell, how you're going to theme it. So it's really interesting from start to finish. Otherwise, it would just be a box of coils and moving parts with no interaction.
Yeah, that's a lot. So stories and everything like that. So you definitely bring a lot to the table across the board for Stern. How did you get involved with them?
So I have been a game developer for coming up on 15 years now. I started out making Game Boy and DS games for little children.
Hey, I play those games.
They're super fun. They're really interesting. They're fun, simple games, and it was a good starting off point because you learn the fundamentals of what makes a game fun and what on a base level, because kids they're not stupid, but they're not stupid. They understand what's fun and interesting, and they need things to be simple at the same time. So it was a good way of a good introduction on how to design a game. And then I moved to Chicago and was working for Incredible Technologies, which is one of the oldest arcade companies around, and doing coin op and making updates for Golden Tee Golf. And across from me in my cube sat George Gomez. And at the time he was doing cabinet designs for them for their slot machines. And when he became vice president of Stern, he asked me if I wanted a job. And I was like, yeah, I want a job.
Where do you, Waison, see pinball going in the future?
Well, in the immediate future, we're going to eventually have our games online so that people can play their games, play in tournaments, maybe post their scores for specific games, and we'll keep leaderboards or stats on players or some variation of those, and it'll be so interesting because people get to customize their play with the games.
And you see pinball growing and growing and growing and growing?
And growing and growing. It's so big. No, it's just been this really, really sharp, steady climb since I started. And it kind of makes me happy that I was at the forefront of the rebirth of pinball.
Your passion for pinball truly reads when we just see you working on games all weekend long, and the way you talk about them in your panels. So thank you for everything you do for us.
No, you guys are great. I would do anything for you guys. You guys are awesome.
And by you guys, he means the pinball community. Booth at Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019, and with me is Kristin Browning-Mezel, one of the co-owners.
Hi, everyone.
You guys make the coolest stuff ever. Tell me what you guys are selling here and how you got into this business.
Well, we're selling all sorts of accessories for pinball machines, and we got into it. I blame this little donut shop right here. My husband bought the Getaway, Tim, and he's always been a maker. And he was reading on Pinside that people were talking about a donut shop, and wouldn't it be cool to have a donut shop on the Getaway? And so he went to the hobby shop, made a really bad donut shop. And so then he said, well, I'm just going to buy a 3D printer and we'll make a donut shop.
So you guys were pinball enthusiasts, and you just wanted to make your games look a
little cooler, personalize, have some fun with it. We had, like 3 or 4 pinball machines, and Tim decided that he wanted to make something to make it unique. Suddenly we had a small business, and I left my job and ended up running Mezel Mods, and 6 years later, here we are. He started the business in October, and by Christmas time, he had about 50 orders for snake bangs for Metallica, and he had no way of providing them to the customers. So I ended up, working a lot of long hours that Christmas to get those out.
About how many different pins do you guys have mods for?
Oh, we've got over 300 products.
So I see behind us is a bunch of different mods and toys that you would add to games. How do you guys choose which games you're going to make mods for?
Well, we primarily focus on the new games that are coming out, but we also look at games that have a lot of popularity. So top 10 games that have sold a lot of, there's 5,000 to 10,000. That's pretty much a winning formula for making a product. We have a process every time we get a new game. We get the team together and we look at the game and we say, what's missing? We can add on and fix some of those things that manufacturers have had to leave out because of, you can only put in so much into a game. So we start there and we say, what structures does it need? What bling does it need? What would really turn people on? Wouldn't it be cool if you had X, Y, Z? And that's how the process starts. It's never really a shortage of ideas. It's really like, how do you decide what not to make? That's the challenging part.
And where do you guys make all of these toys?
We are located in New Mexico, USA. Yeah, we have a little workshop out in a suburb of Albuquerque. And we got a small arcade in there too, so it's pretty cool.
This is actually the Wolverine from X-Men, right? But they don't make this part. Show us the part that you made.
Yeah, so Wolverine he's great. Look at his, he's such a super cool toy in the game. The problem is that he breaks right back here.
You guys all know this.
You know this. If you have this game and you're looking at your sad, broken Wolverine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he's $120 to replace. So he's worth protecting. So we made this little belt, and it's really just a functional piece. He's got a little belt. And so it's a life extender. It helps extend the Wolverine's life.
So what has been your favorite creation from Bezel Mods?
My favorite creation and most surprising has been the Eat It Eddie's building that we made from Attack from Mars. The building, there's a big vertical upkick in Attack from Mars. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It looks like a big giant black candy cane. And it's like, now that's ugly, I'm sorry to say. And so nobody's really done anything with that. When we bought the remake, my buddy Lior in Israel said, you should make something to cover that up. And we said, okay, what could we make, and we brainstormed, and we came up with the idea for making a building, and it literally took us probably 10 or more prototypes until someone said, you got to make it so that it's damaged by like the aliens shooting at it. And so the building is super cool. It is like one of our most successful products. We have all sorts of customers. We have the kind of the whole enchilada customer who likes to put everything on their game. They like lights, they like toys, they like protectors, they like all that. And then we have kind of like the minimalist who really wants just that one thing that really dolls it up a little bit. And then we've got like the kind of the purist who's like, I want to protect my game, so I want plastic protectors, playfield protectors, shooter lane protectors, nice pinballs, So we have all sorts of customers. Everybody wants to be unique, and so that's really what we specialize in, is helping people make their games really cool and unique.
So I have a hard body pinball machine. There's probably no toys or mods for it. Can I come to you guys and be like, can you make me something cool for my hard body, like maybe a weight or something?
Yeah, we sometimes do that. We always look at like how many people have hard body though. Really, Emoto. Let's be honest.
It's the best game ever.
We one time got asked to make a topper for Baywatch. So we made a shark fin. We call it the poor man's topper.
Kristin, you have such amazing stuff. And I love your slogan, don't settle for ordinary pinball. What do you guys have next on your plate?
We are working hard on Willy Wonka right now, and we're super excited about that. We have this awesome replacement for the smokestack that we're just doing the final refinements on it, and it's awesome. It's so cool. It just takes that up 10 notches or so. We come to shows to meet new customers. That's why we come here. And this show in particular has been great in that we've met a lot of brand new people.
So if you just want to add that nice little extra touch to your pins, check out Mezel Mods. Where can they go to find y'all?
Mezelmods.com.
See you guys. Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019. I'm with Bryan Broyles. Bryan, what brings you here to Southern Fried this year?
We're here advertising Metro Atlanta's largest retro arcade right now, Portal Pinball. So we have a booth here. We're letting people know at Southern Fried. If they don't know about us in the Atlanta area, they should know about us.
They should. And it's surprising that they don't by now, because Portal Pinball is the best arcade in Atlanta. It's located in Kennesaw, Georgia. You guys have over 25 pins and vids. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we're almost at 30 pinball machines and 20 arcades.
All on free play.
Correct. And we're buying more and more all the time. We're bringing them in constantly. We're swapping them out about every month.
How did Portal Pinball start?
So I had 20 machines in the basement.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah, one of those guys. And I started noticing, people in Florida and North Carolina are starting to open up pinball arcades, and people were really wanting to come back out and play again. So I was like, let's take a shot. Let's find us a little small place. Let's try to start out and see if people will come out and play. And the response has been overwhelming.
Tell me, where is your passion in pinball? Like, why did you have 20 machines? How did it become into Portal Pinball Arcade?
How did it become 20 machines? Well, I used to play years ago. I worked at a place that actually had 2 pinball machines in it. It was a convenience store. So at night, I worked third shift, and when it died out, we played pinball all night long. So I thought pinball had died out. So almost about a decade ago, I was actually at Bumper Nets in Alabama, and they had a big location with lots of machines. And I'm like, wow, pinball is still alive. So obviously, I reached out and started looking in Atlanta and trying to find pinball to play. Started collecting. I drove to Nashville to get my first game. Just kept buying more and more machines, and eventually the collection got bigger than the home got, so we had to buy a new house. So, and then shortly after that was the opportunity for Portal, to put them in Portal. So it's been all great stepping stones, and I've been doing this now without my job for a year now. So Portal's been standing on its own and paying for me to do this now for a year. It's great. I'm getting the customers like me that was at Bumper Nets all the time. People walking in going, wow, they still make pinball machines. Look, it's got a 17-inch screen or a 19-inch screen in the back of them. So they're really surprised, and it's awesome to see their faces when they come around the corner and see the arcade and see that.
I know Portal Pinball like the back of my hand because I love this place. But for all of our fans watching, why should they come to Portal Pinball? What do you have there to offer?
Well, one thing, we're free play. So you get an opportunity to play a game that you may not normally play, or you play once and you think it's too hard and you don't want to put your money back in it. You can just play the same game over and over and over. It's also good for practice. The model helps people practice. And it allows people, like I said, just to play games they normally probably wouldn't play before because they're being more selective with their money. You know, you see so many faces and smiles, and I guess that's really it. Just seeing the people's faces and smiles. Seeing kids that's never played pinball before play pinball, you know. Oh, I played this on a computer before, you know, or just teaching them how to play, seeing them play the game they've never played before, interact, watching the ball, you know, it's pretty much that. Bringing the enjoyment to the people. It's not about the money for me. I left a job that paid way more than I can probably make doing this, but I wanted to do a passion project, and I saw the opportunity, and I think people will enjoy it, and I'm glad I did.
The last thing is, what's next for Portal Pinball? Do you see any expansions in your future locations? What do you have under your sleeve to make Portal Pinball take it to the next level?
Well, we're definitely looking at that. This coming up on the 2-year mark and seeing that we're doing fairly well. We're out looking, and I don't want to reveal too much right now. It's kind of like a secret, but we're definitely looking for another opportunity for Portal or another arcade location, so people are not driving as far to come to Portal. I mean, spread the love across the city.
Let's spread the love all around Atlanta, all about pinball and arcades. Where can they find more information about Portal Pinball?
They can go to portalpinball.com, or they can also visit us at 3600 Cherokee Street in Kennesaw.
Awesome. And then watch this. Ugh, I'm so short! Southern Fried Gaming Expo with Preston Burt. He's one of the co-founders of this amazing event. Preston, congratulations first and foremost. But tell everyone in this camera right here, tell our fans why they need to get their booties to Atlanta and come to the 7th annual Southern Fried.
Well, you are looking at hopefully coming to the largest convention in the Southeast, and hopefully one of the largest conventions in the country. This is the 6th year, like she said, and we have over 300 games. But in addition to that, we've got so much more to do than just play pinball. We've got tabletop events, we've got pepper eating challenges, we've got 80s live rock band music, tons of stuff to keep you busy all weekend long, but yet play some games too.
It's really amazing how you guys basically included all of gaming.
Yeah.
You know, from tabletop to console, to people are playing Werewolf and D&D in the side halls. How did this all come to be?
Well, this is kind of a natural evolution of the show. You know, as a hobbyist myself, I was really into arcade and pinball machine. And then as my interest grew, I started getting into tabletop gaming, and I thought that there was a niche that needed to be filled. And so it's a celebration, like you said, of all types of gaming, which is one of the reasons we actually changed our name a couple years ago from Gameroom Expo to Gaming Expo. So
that still confuses people. I have to correct so many people. It's Gaming Expo now.
Well, it's funny. One of the reasons we changed it is because people already called it Gaming Expo when it was not Gaming Expo. But so we just rolled with it. But you know, it's a celebration of gaming in general. We've got, like you mentioned, we got Dungeons and Dragons. We got arcade, we've got, you know, Nintendo, Genesis, all that kind of stuff. We even have cornhole this year. So, yeah, it's just, we love gaming. We think it brings families closer together. And it's just a chance to get away, hang out with friends, do something different. And so why not just celebrate it all?
Yeah, for Sure. So real quick, you brought some show and tell, and this is very historical to Southern Fried and the evolution of Southern Fried in the community. So tell me what you brought us.
Sure. So I got into the hobby myself in about 2008, started collecting games. From there, it turned into a podcast with my friend Patrick Wall, who's one of the show organizers here.
And that's Geek Dad?
No, that's Gameroom Junkies.
Gameroom Junkies?
So we had a podcast going for about 8 years. But from there, my passion kind of grew, and there was a lack of pretty much anything in Atlanta. There was very, very few location games. The only games that existed were in people's basements. And I got to know some of these people through, buying games, selling games, and just getting to know the community. And so before there was ever even a show, I started Atlanta's first pinball league. So I designed the logo and everything, and this started in about 2011. And this is my first year, souvenir show shirt. I got all the members to sign it for me. But what's cool about this?
Shannon DeWitt.
Yeah, Shannon DeWitt's on here, my friend Patrick Wall, and then also Dana and Joel Reeves, who I met because of the podcast and then the Pinball League, who the five of us would found this show. And so not only did I get to learn and meet them and know them more, it was an evolution of the community. This is a huge community event. I try to tell people, look for people who wear the badges that say exhibitor, because they lugged a 300-pound machine out of their basement for other people to enjoy. And that wouldn't be possible without collectors banding together, sharing their love of gaming with others. And that's kind of how the Pinball League started, with folks in their basement collections, having people meet and play competitive pinball.
And I know when you guys started 6 years ago, it all started from a little Kickstarter, and that's when we heard about you and we started coming and documenting it as well. Tell me a little bit about that. Was that scary, kind of starting that small and then now you're this huge?
Yeah, it was super scary. So all of us, the five original founders.
Can you name them?
Sure. Dana Reeves, Joel Reeves, Patrick Wall, Shannon DeWitt, and myself. We banded together and we're basically like, okay, each of us is willing to lose, X thousands of dollars just to see this come to life. But we could use a little help, right? So we thought, what better way to do it than a Kickstarter, which one, involves the community, and two, it kind of acts as a little bit like marketing. That's how you found out about us. We ended up being a Kickstarter staff pick of the week, got picked up in broadcast, and Joel, his occupation is camera and film editing, so he was able to do a really cool Kickstarter video. The outtakes are out there somewhere, so look for those. They're hideous. But it's a really fun way to get seen. And we were able to get some really early kind of people engaged and excited about the event who come every year now. But it offset the expenses by like $5,000 or so. And it was able to get this show to just kick off and grow, and it's been growing ever since.
It's so incredible, and I just love how everyone is collectors and everyone's donating their time just for the passion of gaming. I mean, how more beautiful can it get? Preston, what do you do when you're not running and organizing Southern Fried?
When I'm not running and organizing Southern Fried, I am an employee of the federal government. I work at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, keeping our environment safe.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us such a big footprint for the Marco booth.
Thank you, guys. It looks great. So much variety, so many people playing great games, and just happy to have you.
Let's keep growing pinball and arcade and gaming in general, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Southern Fried Gaming Expo with Federick Richardson, aka Funky Fresh.
Funky Fresh.
He's top 50 pinball player in the world, according to IFPA rankings. Fred, how did you get to top 50? I mean, what?
It's funny. I used to play a lot in the 90s, and then I got married, had a family, sort of disappeared for a while. And as the rise of it came back, played a little bit. But it was really in the last 2 years or so, I started traveling again,
I had the opportunity to go to shows and play on the circuit, and it really elevated my ranking.
So really only 2 years of play and you're already played in the World Championships and everything like that? That's crazy. What's your technique, strategy?
Wow, what's my technique and strategy? Every game it's different. How did I get better maybe was really paying attention to other players and dialing into the rules. I think that was a big difference as they've gotten more and more complicated. You got to go in there, find out what they're doing. Why is this more valuable when I shoot this first? So that was a big part of it. But yeah, it's just been the last 2.5 years, and I've been able to hover right around 50. I'd love to crack the top 25, but then you need some big wins, and that's what's up next.
And what is it like being in the tournament circuit and with IFPA? Like, for people who don't know what IFPA is, tell them.
Sure. So players are ranked. If you're in a tournament that's endorsed by the IFPA, you're going to receive a ranking. You're going to receive some points for doing this. There are currently over 65,000 people ranked worldwide that play in events all over the world. There's stuff going on every weekend. And then we also have larger events at what we call the pro circuit, the Stern Pro circuit. And those ones will bump you up quicker if you do well, because the competition is harder, the formats are harder, and so that'll increase your ranking. But really to jump up into that top echelon, top 100, you have to win some big tournaments, and you're going to have to travel.
That's nuts. Yeah, it's crazy. And for you guys that don't know, IFPA stands for International Flipper Pinball Association, and they've been around for so many years, right? And there's a pop-up facility that's part of that. Like, what is that?
So there's basically two governing bodies to pinball. Roger Sharp helped start both of them. He helped start PAPA with Steve Epstein out in the New York area, and PAPA stands for the Pro-Am Pinball Association. So they had their group, and then there was in the upper Midwest with Steve Young, we had the IFPA, the International Flipper Pinball Association. And again, this was sort of back in the 90s, and we had world championships, and we went to the two places, and we earned them. We earned them as singles, we earned them as doubles, which I have 2 of. So I got 2 world championship trophies, but anyway, so they both took a little bit of a dip around 2000, and we had people restart them up, and Kevin Martin was one of them that bought up the PAPA franchise and grew it and made Replay FX and had the PAPA facility out in Pittsburgh, one of the best places we've ever played. And with the IFPA, that was sort of taken by Josh and Zach Sharp, Roger's kids, and a host of other people, took it on their back to really build a competitive scene. And they built it real similar to like the PGA. If you follow golf, what we do in pinball is real similar to the PGA.
Very cool. That's a really good analogy, actually. Yeah. So when you're not playing pinball, Fred, you are a manager of sorts. I've seen you work your magic a lot. Tell me what you do when you're not playing.
Sure. I've been in food and beverage most of my life. So I've been a restaurant manager. The last few years I've been consulting, so I've been traveling all around the country, helping bars, nightclubs, and restaurants be better, new openings, rebrands, refresh, stuff like that. And lately I've been helping barcades, places with games all around Denver, Minneapolis, Columbus, Ohio. Got a lot of friends in Chicago. And now we're looking to bring something to South Carolina, so we've been working on that.
What do you actually do to help these barcades?
Well, it's what they need. You tell me what you're looking for, and I'll tell you how I can deliver it. We have a team of people work front of the house, back of the house, write menus for you, give you all the tools that you need in order to be successful. We can tell you from our experience things that work for us and best practices, and build from there. We do a real deep market analysis, too, of the area that you're in to see who you're going to appeal to and who exactly is your target market audience.
So basically, you're the ideal consultant for anyone trying to open up a barcade. Is that what I'm getting here?
Maybe.
And what is the barcade scene? How is the barcade scene? Is it growing? Like, what do you see through all your consulting?
You know, honestly, it's really exciting. It is really growing. There are areas in our country that are just out of control, like Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington. I mean, it is just crazy in some places. And it's really interesting how quick it can grow. I love to use Columbus, Ohio as the example. 5 years ago, they didn't have any arcades there. They have more than a dozen now, and they're all thriving because they work together, and they do it for the growth of the gaming, growth of pinball. And if you do that, along with your competitive stuff, work together, don't step on each other's toes, respect the calendar, the scene will grow. And it's flourishing in a lot of areas around the country.
Absolutely, and the collector community is really awesome, but I think we have to somewhat attribute the growth of pinball to the on-location pinball community, to the people that are competing, like you as competitors, and now the Bells and Chimes have their own women's group. Yes. And so what have you seen as far as the growth and where it's going?
Sure, so I think what really helped pinball sort of come back was about the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006. It was a combination of the home collectors as well as people getting re-energized about bringing them into commercial sites. So that helped. And then people like me who do leagues and tournaments and stuff like that, bringing them into different areas. You mentioned the women with Bells and Chimes. I mean, that has been one of the most exciting growth areas in all of pinball, is watching not only women's competitive pinball, but really like equaling the play field where it's like a respected level. We've had issues with growing this, with women feel comfortable playing pinball, and that's terrible. It should never have been like that. And so what we do, hopefully, people see this. If you see a Bells and Chimes League, as a man, respect it, promote it, and, help people understand these are just other players, men, women, kids. And yeah, we're all pinball players, okay? And I don't want somebody coming up to me and bothering me when I'm in the middle of a game. Don't talk to me when I'm playing, so why would you do that, to a woman or to a kid? So anyway, I see that changing and getting better, and I support that. Be vocal, and don't let people get away with anything. If you see it out there, say something.
Yeah, absolutely. So Marco Specialties, we sponsored the Southern Fried Women's Bells and Chimes tournament, and you're working a lot with Marco now. We see you at all the shows. What's your involvement with Marco, and what is Marco doing for our community?
Sure. So the Manteltor family and I sort of got together a couple years ago, and we've worked together from everything from, staffing and shows and stuff. I've been coming to shows with them for about a year and a half now. I go when I can make it. A lot of times I want to play in the tournaments that are there, so we're going to kind of figure out.
It disappears sometimes.
How that works out. It's all approved. And but it's funny, real quick, you mentioned that we did help sponsor this weekend. We did the women's tournament, and a Marco woman won that tournament. Shout out to Callie Holman for winning that. Woo! A lot of great women players were up there. I couldn't believe it. I walked in and it's just like I knew like many of them. So for Callie to take it, that was great. And then as far as me working with Marco, we do shows. I like to talk to people about the games and the designs behind them. Selling parts, not my thing. Being on the floor, I sold 3 games today. So, I mean, yeah, people see it, and when you can explain to them how to play it better, they enjoy it, and they want to, they want one for their house.
Well, thank you for everything you do, Funky Fresh.
You're welcome.
We'll see you at the next show.
You guys take care. Thanks for having us.
Expo 2019 with Mica Critchfield. She's one of the arcade coordinators of this awesome Atlanta event. Mica, how did you get involved with Southern Fried?
So we've been involved in collecting pins and vids for about 10 years now.
And what games did you bring this year to Southern Fried, if any?
So this year we actually brought 5. We brought Avengers, we brought America's Most Haunted, we brought Doctor Who, Tetris, and Space Invaders Deluxe.
Wow, that's an awesome lineup, mixture of pinball and arcade. I like that. Mica, how did you get involved in pinball and arcade? When did you fall in love with it to where you have such a big collection now?
So it's always been a thing that I've really enjoyed. My dad was a big fan of the KISS pinball, so any place we could find one, we'd always throw quarters in it. My boyfriend's favorite pinball was Black Knight. So for Christmas one year, I actually bought him a Black Knights. The next year for my birthday, he bought me a Funhouse, which is my favorite. And it's kind of spiraled, sort of like Pringles.
So what is the Atlanta pinball and arcade scene like? You should know, right?
It's actually surprisingly kind. It's surprisingly welcoming. I've never seen a community of any of the hobbies I've ever had where somebody goes, oh, you're interested? Come to my house. Come over. Come play all of my games. Come enjoy everything I own. Here's a beer. Here's some pizza. Please come have fun. And everybody does it. Everybody's willing to open their homes, to share, to fix games, to help you move anything. They're wonderful.
It's also kind of like an insider community too, right? Because for the longest time, I didn't think Atlanta had pinball. You know, I would go to all these other different cities, Chicago, LA, New York, and then finally someone knew someone that I finally got the invite to go to all those like head-to-head basement tournaments, and I was like, this is where all the pinball is. Where do you see us, what can we do to get more pinball on location in Atlanta?
We really need to try to actually start fighting some of the laws. We're now getting to a point again where we actually have pinball out in the wilds. A lot of it has been some of the tax issues have been a little bit prohibitive for some of the operators to continue. Now that pinball's we're seeing this huge resurgence again, operators are starting to make the effort, and hopefully once we see more operators, laws will make it a little easier for more people to bring things out in the wild.
So what are you looking forward to most for Southern Fried Gaming Expo?
Honestly, I just really wanted to play Munsters. I'm not gonna lie, I really did, and it's fantastic. We have Munsters, we've got Wonka, we've got all kinds of new exciting games. Thanks to Marco, Classic Gameroom, Flippin' Out. Everybody has brought so many amazing things this year. So many new things that you aren't able to see in people's homes yet, especially.
So are you going home with a Munsters? And if so, which version do you prefer?
If I magically was to end up with one, it would be the premium. I love the black and white.
Black and white premium, that lower playfield. Have you ever gone to the wizard mode where you have the top and bottom multi-ball?
No, I am not good. That will never happen. Other people will do it and I will see it and enjoy it, and that's the closest I'm gonna get.
Me too. So later tonight, we're gonna take the glass off, and you and I are going to get to wizard mode finally.
Definitely. That's what's gonna happen.
What's in your hand, Mica?
It's a lightsaber.
Why?
Because I work for a company that makes custom lightsabers. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Tell me a little bit about this company.
I work for a company called Vader's Vault. It's been in business for about 10 years. We do custom lightsabers, so we do a lot of powder coating, acid etching, laser engraving, anything and everything to make really cool stuff. So people can actually go out and duel. There are several groups that actually do like fencing style dueling or full contact dueling with lightsabers.
Can you show me your best lightsaber move?
No, I'm awful.
Aw, I tried.
Want to try?
All right. Thank you. Bye. I am now with Josh Kugler, Director of Software Engineering of American Pinball. You may know him from Houdini and Oktoberfest Pinball. Hey Josh, tell me about your games.
Well, Houdini and Oktoberfest are the first games from American Pinball. Right now, Oktoberfest is our most recent title. We've got 3 or 4 of them here at the show for people to play, and the reception of it's really been great. I think people were surprised by what we did with the game. A lot of people thought Oktoberfest is just about beer and beautiful women, and not that there's anything wrong with beer and beautiful women, but Oktoberfest is a lot more than that. It's about music and fun and foods and rides, and we've really tried to bring that together, and people seem to really be enjoying it.
Tell me a little bit about you, Josh. How did you get into pinball and working for American Pinball?
So I've been a pinball fan since I was 8 or 9 years old. I had a friend whose dad sold pinball retail, so we always had games in his basement before anybody even thought about something like that. Played pinball through high school, through college. Was a big fan. I started collecting in around 2000 when Williams shut down and pinball started to disappear. I actually lived close to a test site of theirs. So it was great. I got to always play the new games, and then that went away. So then about 7 years ago or so, I learned about the P-Rock platform. which is what Houdini and Oktoberfest use, and the newer Spooky pins use, and Cosmic Carnival uses, and the Big Lebowski. But that let me create my own custom games. And the first game I did was called the Kugler Family. It was about my family. That was a great way to get my wife to be totally on board with me, spending hours and hours and hours working on a game, but it captures our family and the things we like to do. And then I did another game called Casino, and these games were brought to Pinball Expo. And when American Pinball was looking for a programmer, all the existing people were already working. They were either Jarzewiak or at Stern, so they were so desperate that they decided to take a try on me. Somebody pointed them at my direction. I'd never done programming for a living. I'd certainly never done pinball machines.
And so what do you actually do for American Pinball?
So I'm responsible for the development of the rules of the game. It was actually when I first started, I didn't understand who did what. And we started, Joe's like, here's the layout. And I said, okay, what are the rules? He goes, well, you go figure that out. So like in the case of Houdini, I spent the first couple of weeks just researching Houdini to become a Houdini expert, because I really wanted the game to be about him and not just his name and make a magic pin. And then Oktoberfest was similar. We decided to do it. I spent a lot of time researching it. Again, I thought it was just about beer and beautiful women. So I had to go research and realize that's not what it was all about. So first is developing the rules. Then I work with the animator and our musician to create the soundtrack and the art, and then the software to bring it all together. On Oktoberfest, I've had the opportunity to have another programmer on the project, Joe Schober. So that's been great on that one, where he's helped develop. He's been involved in developing the rules. So it's a lot of fun to get to collaborate on that and get a lot of ideas. And I think it's one of the things that's made Oktoberfest the game that it is.
Amazing. It always takes a whole team to create like the perfect pinball machines.
It really does. All the pieces have to come together. When I first start working on a game, we have nothing. We have like some basic screens. And then we get the first music soundtrack from the sound guy. It's like amazing how the game starts to come to life. And then you add in the animations, and it really is the whole package. And that's what makes it really hard to really make a great pin.
So you brought Oktoberfest here.
Yeah.
Tell me and the audience, like, what's the sell on Oktoberfest?
What's the sell on Oktoberfest? Well, Oktoberfest is a feel-good pin. And Houdini, you play it and it frustrates you, and then you want to keep playing because you want to beat it. Oktoberfest is different. It just feels good. Part of it's the music. It's that Oktoberfest Oompa music. There's a little bit of a mix. We have some rock and roll in there. First show, the gay people felt, whoa, too much rock and roll. We want more of the Oompa, more of that, which was what we've put a lot more in because people want it. So it kind of makes you feel good. The other thing is, so it's feel good, you can step up, you can play it, but it's got great strategy to it. Joe Schober's a tournament guy, so he was really focused on making sure we were putting in a lot of really cool strategy. I had this idea for purchasing steins or acquiring steins for power up, and then he kind of took that and ran with it and made it even do more. So there's tremendous strategy. I've been playing the game for months. I keep changing which steins I take, which tents I play when. So there's a lot of variety. And with both of our games, Houdini Oktoberfest, our goal was to make sure that for a collector, because that's a big part of our market, right now it's kind of the biggest chunk of our market, that our games are going to have depth, that you're not going to get bored of it quickly, that there's new things happening, there's new things learning, different ways to approach it. You're going to spend a lot of money on a game. You want it to really keep you entertained for a long period of time. Personally, I hate moving pinball machines. So when a machine goes into my house, I have to know I want it to be there for a while, that it's going to have legs. I'm going to keep enjoying it.
So what's next for American Pinball?
Well, we actually have a couple of things in the works. The rumors, the rumors that everybody knows about, because we trademarked some potential titles that we're doing.
Wait, tell us the rumors, because some of our people, they may not know them.
So
we want to know the rumors.
The rumors are things we actually have trademarks for, are Sherlock Holmes, Poker Run, Robin Hood, and Valkyries. Okay. Now,
the Fox Robin Hood?
What?
The Fox version of Robin Hood?
It would be a generic Robin Hood. There have been so many versions of it now. But the one I'm really rooting for us to do is Sherlock Holmes. I've been a big Sherlock Holmes fan for years. But we have to figure out how you really make that a great pinball machine. It has to be something you could step up to, have fun and play, but also where there's a big mystery involved, that it really brings that to life. And spending a lot of time thinking about it. Haven't figured that out yet. Once I have a plan for that, then that's potentially a title we'll do. But don't be surprised if one of our next titles, whether it's the next one or the one after that or after that, isn't on that list.
All right, well, thank you so much. Oh, I have one last thing. I forgot I'm wearing my American sunglasses today. So here, you can put it on, and then we'll go back to back, and do a pose. Yeah, Marco TV. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Brent and Whitney from Broken Token podcast, and it's actually my first time really interacting with you guys, but I've listened to you for so many years on my cross-country trips, so it's good to put a face to the voices. So surely everyone out there watching Marco TV already know who these hooligans are, but if they don't, tell me a little bit about Broken Token.
Well, Brent and I have been podcasting for a little over 5 years now. We're a monthly show, a longer format show.
3 hours long.
3 hours for
on the short side.
on the short side. 3, 4, 5+ hours. But oddly enough, we have a significant amount of our fan base that gives us feedback that say that they really, really love that format because it keeps them company while they're working on their games and out in the garage or down in the game room. And we always tell everybody, it's like, listen, you can always hit pause and then come back to us next year.
We have a little bit of a formula. However, we do try to vary, to change it up. Basically, we touch on a little what's going on with Whitney and myself, kind of the update segment. Really don't want to lean on that too much because who wants to kind of listen to, okay, I played this.
Yeah.
So, but,
or my basement leaked.
Yeah, oh, exactly. Oh, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Well,
It's so funny.
Yeah.
but she hasn't had it happen. But that brings the lot. Actually, I like that part of the show because that brings our lives, what we do, into the hobby and how everything kind of intermixes. We try to have some interview segments. So like when we come to shows like here at Southern Fried, gives us an opportunity to sit down with other collectors, other industry folks. We get some updates on what's going on, and then we can slide that into the show. Then we also like to try to add a technical segment. So we'll talk about pinball and arcade. We do cover arcade. And then past that, we have a lot of interaction with our listeners. So there's a pretty good size feedback section we like to try to cover. Yeah. And then Whitney's classic for bankrupting me.
Yeah, we spend a lot of Brent's money. We are probably the show of mods. And because we ferret out all of the new material that's out on the marketplace for both pinball and arcade every month, and we have so much feedback on that we've made it a staple of the show. And between that and the feedback, it's just a lot of fun. We're a very family friendly show, and you can listen to us with your children, with your kids, with your dog. We try to keep it very lighthearted. There's a lot of good banter back and forth between Brent and I. And then several times a year, we'll have on interviews and stuff like that. And then, like you said, what we can pick up at shows and all of that.
I thought you were going to say several times a year I threaten to quit. Yeah, and then you have to reel me back in.
Yeah, that's a trope, okay? That's a trope. But
So what's the exciting project going on for each of you right now in your pinball enthusiast world? What are you working on? What mods?
So project-wise, pinball... Actually, I've just kind of shut down the most recent. I went through a Star Wars Episode 1. So now I'm kind of at that point of where am I going to go next? I've got a couple, I know this is mainly pinball. I got a couple of video games that are on the mind that I want to get to. But pinball-wise, I know I've got a Tales from the Crypt that keeps kind of laughing at me from the corner of the garage. Yeah. That's something.
It's like a clown. I just want to shoot it every time I see it.
He's got this aversion for clowns.
I absolutely cannot stand clowns.
And I happen to have an egg vendor in the basement that's got the creepiest, most awesome clown in it. And I position Whitney so he has to stare at it. Yeah. It's my way of getting back.
What about Cosmic Carnival?
Cosmic Carnival. That is probably one of the prettiest machines.
But it's clowns.
But it is still pretty. I'll give it that. Okay. Now. I'm
He
not
is so mixed. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's so many facets to Whitney.
I mean, I'm torn in so many directions because I look at the artwork and it draws me in, but then the clowns scare me right away, you know? So, it's one of those things. I walk up to it, then I go, ah, and then I turn around and run away. And then I walk back to it.
So I just got my first pinball machine not too long ago. I bought it at Southern Fried.
Oh, nice.
And it's been having issues with the soundboard. And so for people like me that are super noobs, like, what advice can you give me of if I need to repair a pin? Because it's intimidating.
I would say just get some basic hand tools, get a multimeter, learn some basic electronics work, and you can do that with videos, okay, or you can do that with a book. Either way, it works out. But depending upon the vintage of the machine, what machine did you get?
Guess, what is Emoto's first pinball machine? Just take a wild guess.
There's only 2 or 3 models. I mean, there's nothing. There's not much. 10 games to possibly guess from. There's not a lot of pinball machines in the world.
Yeah, see, and that's the struggle that I have. A Munsters.
Well, she said she had problems with the soundboard, so I'm going to guess it's probably a little older. Has to be a solid state. So probably Bally Williams. Something around maybe a high speed or something in that range is going to be my guess. Maybe a
close
system 11, a little older, system 6 or 7.
System 8306. No.
Is that a Bally CPU board? What's the game? All right, tell me what the game is.
Tell us the game. Yeah.
It's a hard body, the best pinball machine ever.
Pinball. Oh my gosh, how did I? That is a Bally. Yeah, it is. Well, they're never gonna make another game like that. I mean, they can't surpass a hard body. It's the best machine ever.
I mean, we talk about it on the show quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm glad y'all agree.
Yeah. So just basic hand tools, multimeter, and really probably gonna have to get some documentation, schematics, learn to read those. And I know it's a little bit intimidating to start with, but ultimately, once you've done that, it's more rinse and repeat. It's really not terribly hard. A lot of it's a process of elimination. So
I have strong opinions on this question. What kind of drives me insane personally is Facebook is a perfect example. You get out in the forums, and I feel this is solid advice. Don't just take a picture. This happens all the time, and put thoughts and then throw that in a forum. I see that all the time. And
That's about what?
Exactly. I see that. It's a little worse on the video side because at least it's something on the monitor. It's doing something. But we'll get that on pinball forums as well. Do a little basic homework. Come into it with at least a punch list of things that you've already considered, things that you've already done. Put a little effort into it. And don't just, as an example with your problem, I've got a hard body. Well, you're already ahead of the game because you've talked about what the game is. You'd be surprised how often people don't even do that. Yeah. All right, is it a Bally? Is it Williams? Is it a what? All right, and say, I've got sound problems. It does this. I've already considered this. I've looked at that. I've looked here. And when I see posts like that are thought out, I'm 100 million times more apt to jump in and help. But if you just say, I've got a hard body and the sound doesn't work, thoughts, scroll.
Yeah. And get some tools because
I think I just broke her heart.
I will go do my homework.
Yeah, but you will get
Dad, where can all the fine folk watching us listen to Broken Token podcast?
It is so super easy because we're just one word, brokentoken.com. We planned it this way. It rhymes. It rolls off the tongue. It's like super sweet.
So, and also facebook.com/brokentoken. And then you do all the, I don't know how this Twitter thing.
Where's it distributed? Like iTunes?
Yeah. So real quick, Twitter is @BrokenToken. So it's pretty much @BrokenToken everything. Okay. So that's it. One word. We're on Apple Music. We're on the Google Play Store, and we're on Stitcher. And there's several other networks that we thought about submitting to and everything, but usually those are the big three, it seems like, and they kind of percolate out from there. So on your iPhone or on your Android phone, you'll just fire up the native app, you'll find us. Yeah.
Well, good luck on y'all's 100th episode, and congratulations. And we'll see you at Grand Old Gameroom Expo.
Excellent.
See you there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're at Southern Fried Gaming Expo 2019. Do I even need to introduce who this guy is? Because you see his face everywhere.
I'm sorry, Emoto, yeah.
We have Zach Meany of Straight Down the Middle, flipping out.
That's right.
This Week in Pinball.
Coming, right?
What other shows are you taking over?
Yeah, maybe Marco Specialties one, right? How about that?
Hey, that's my job.
You're doing a hell of a job doing it, too.
Well, I'm Tom Cruising it here with you with my Marco stool. And tell me, I know, it's all an illusion. I had to be as tall as Greg Bone, you see.
Oh, yeah, poor Greg Bone. He's out there somewhere. Where you at, Greg Bone?
He always skips these things. I don't understand why.
Greg Bone doesn't like to leave a 5-mile vicinity of his home, Emoto, so he stays very close. Now, he's a movie star now. He's doing tryouts for all kinds of reality shows and stuff, so hopefully here soon you'll see Greg Bone promoting pinball all across the world.
Yes, he's going to star in our pinball movie, actually, that we're writing right now.
I must have lost the
You can co-star. Oh, yeah, you're going to be an extra.
manager. How about that? Hopefully maybe we can get Greg Bone to wear a Marco Specialty shirt. How about that? Maybe he can be an extra in the background.
We'll send him a
coffee
shirt.
or something.
We'll send him a shirt.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
He's saying, yeah, thumbs up. So you're here with your flipping out pinball booth, and that's your latest endeavor. Let's,
That's
right? Okay. Let's tell the fine folk what flipping out is.
So Flipping Out Pinball is a distribution business. We sell most of the major manufacturers in pinball, as well as a really cool product called the Escalera. A lot of people know about that. A lot of you guys own that. If you haven't, you have to play around with one. It climbs stairs, right? And pinball machines we know are super heavy and they're obnoxious and they're big and bulky. So what this does is you strap it on and you ride up and down stairs so that you don't break your back.
Escalera in full force. Look at that.
So
It's pretty amazing.
yeah, I love it. And it's cheaper than back surgery. That's my selling point. I promise you, cheaper than back surgery.
And I know that. $200,000.
For real? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a medal back. So at your booth, you have Oktoberfest, you have Willy Wonka, and those lines have been super long.
Yeah.
Like, how has that been sharing a booth with American Pinball, Josh Kugler?
Josh Kugler was hanging out. Yeah, he's a coder of Houdini as well as Oktoberfest. We had Jerry from Multimorphic hanging out. He's the design and engineer extraordinaire over at Multimorphic. We also had the newest game that was released, Cosmic Carnival. A really cool game by Suncoast Pinball. So we debuted that here, the production model. So that's been a lot of fun for people. Yeah, Willy Wonka's out. You name it, it's out.
That's crazy. So you guys literally distribute every single manufacturer then, right? Where's the spooky games?
Oh, sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Charlie. So we're possibly coming soon, maybe. Spooky pinball games as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. How did you get into pinball, and why are you so passionate about it? Because let me tell you, this is one of the most passionate guys in our pinball community, because up until now, with his flipping out distribution business, all of his shows is literally volunteer hours, and I know how long it takes to edit those, because they're not just doing podcasts, they're also doing video, they're doing promos for shows. This guy is legit. Why are you so passionate about this hobby?
I mean, anything I get into, I'm passionate about. It's a little bit of a competitive thing too, because honestly, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be straight honest with everybody here. If I'm going to do something, I want to be one of the best at it. I'm going to do everything I can to dominate and be one of the best at it. We had the opportunity on the Willy Wonka release for Jarzewiak Pinball to do their promotional material, all their video assets, all their video material. So we were really proud of that. We have new manufacturers all the time approaching us and trying to see if we were willing to do some video assets for them and some promotional considerations. So why I'm so passionate, I love pinball. I don't think there's anything like it in the world when it comes to game-wise. So I hit the ground running. I've been in it for 5 years or so. And I can guarantee you next year at this time, I will be doing even more than I'm doing right now.
Can you handle it?
Absolutely, yeah. 5 hours sleep is all you need.
He's a beast.
Yeah, one day I'm gonna be like Emoto. That's my dream. One day. I always be taller than you, girl, but one day I'm gonna have all of the skill that you have. Right? I don't have natural talent, so I have to teach myself how to be good.
Oh man, you're making me blush. Stop it. So you are super competitive. Do you play pinball competitively?
Absolutely not. No, I've never once played in a single tournament, a single league. The only competition I've done in pinball is with my buddies at my house or at the Flippin' Out shop. That's it, because I know what will happen if I get competitive into that. I know that I'm a realist, Emoto. I know that I am not the greatest at certain things. So I'm going to capitalize on the things that I think I could be one of the best at, and if I'm not going to put my resources there. So I'm not the greatest pinball player. I like to play. I chase wizard modes. I don't chase scores. So if I do that, then I got to leave everything else behind. I don't want to do that. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing.
Because then you would be the best, you know.
No, see, I know. I'm not silly. I know that I would never be I would not be a Zach Sharp. I would not be a Keith Elwin. Shout out to those guys. I would not be those guys. My brain doesn't work that way.
For sure. So as a pinball distributor, you are not just distributing to collectors, but you're also distributing to operators that put stuff on location. What do y'all do as far as giving support to encourage operators to change laws or anything like that, as far as getting pinball everywhere?
Yeah, support's the 100% the number one thing. As a distributor, my job is to not just sell you a product. My job is to back it up once I do sell it. We know that with pinball machines, they're one of the most complex toys, if you will, or gaming devices in existence. So things are going to happen. You guys are going to have a switch that's not going to work. You're going to have a light that comes out. You're going to have a board that needs some replacement. So selling a game is easy. My job is to help provide support once things go wrong, because they will go wrong. Any heavy machinery is going to go wrong at some point. The good thing is that in the pinball industry, people like Stern Pinball, Jarzewiak Pinball, they offer the greatest support ever. So I'm the middleman. I help these individuals get what they need so that Stern's not bothered by all of these calls, and I can help coordinate some of that stuff. So that's my job. Now I'll go to locations, I'll go to events when they're showing off a game. I'm happy to do all of that, and getting the word out, if you will, just like you guys are doing here. But my job is support, support, support.
And pinball has grown exponentially in the past few years, thanks to your shows, especially This Week in Pinball with you and Jeff Patterson. Very awesome material. What's next for you, Zach?
What is next for me? Next for me, you're going to see a lot more content from Straight Down the Middle and Flippin' Out Pinball. We're going to do a lot more video promotional content for some of these machines coming out. We're going to have things like, we've got a really cool series coming up. I don't want to give away too much, but it will be very much a throwback to a show that people loved about 10 years ago, and it's going to be fixated on pinball itself. So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of gameplay videos, a lot of tutorials coming out, a lot of promotional material, so you guys know and have everything you need before making your purchase.
That's awesome. And where can we find all of that content?
Thank you for asking. You can find us at Straight Down the Middle, a pinball show. It's a YouTube video series. You can also check us out on This Week in Pinball podcast. And Flippin' Out Pinball has a new streaming channel. We stream the newest games. It's the first time I've seen a distributor really stream. So we've got our boys at Special One Lit Pinball Podcast, Ken Cromwell and Bill Webb. They're streaming every single week the newest games on the market, so you can tune into them Mondays and Tuesdays. One of the cool things we're doing on the stream, I'm always trying something different. So for the stream, it's not just somebody playing pinball. It's not just those guys playing pinball. We have a call-in segment, Emoto, where we call it After Hours, where the guys, they leave the game on, but they sit around a table and they do a live podcast type of broadcast, and viewers like you can call in and ask questions not only to Ken and Bill. Sometimes we have industry designers, experts, coders right there in the room that you can ask them questions to. So it's just been a lot of fun. More ideas. I live for ideas. You're the same way. I know how you are. So every night I'm jotting down ideas of what I'm going to bring these people next.
That's awesome. Well, we can't wait to see it. And you know this guy. He knows you. Let's play some pinball.
Thank you all so much for watching. See you at 2021. Right? I'll be there, I hope.